To boost or not to boost? How do you feel?
Well, I think it's pretty clear if you've had an mRNA vaccine, you got to boost. The question is
Mm.
just when. So right now, what we're seeing in Israel, what we're seeing in the UK, is that at about 6 months' time, you start to lose those protecting, neutralizing antibodies, and when those start to go down, your protection starts to go down. The effectiveness of the vaccines have gone from the 90s into the 40s or 50s at the 6 month point, and so they're seeing good results in Israel with the boost. So they're starting to bend that curve, and I think the administration is trying to do the same thing here. The only question is the timing.
And so what do you say to those who oppose the vaccine, who are, questioning the fact that it's decreasing in its ability to protect you from the virus, from the Delta variant?
Well, it couldn't be further from the truth. And what I would say is we have, a way to look at that, which is testing. So we have a new test called the CPAS test, which
Mm.
has been approved by the FDA under emergency use, and which we can use to measure the specific antibodies that stop the virus from entering your cells. So all the studies that you're seeing out there, they're really looking at the concentration of those neutralizing antibodies, and as those go down, that's when the booster is recommended. It's not the only thing that's in the immune system, but it is really the key thing that they're seeing. If you have a lot more of it, you're much less likely to get infected. And so the booster shot really increases those neutralizing antibodies. And for me, the decision to take that booster is going to basically depend on, where are my antibodies? If they start to go down, I see I'm less protected. I think that's really the time to boost.
And your company is actually the only company in the entire world that has this technology to not only test to see if you have the antibodies, but how strong those antibodies are. So how does someone go about getting this CPAS test?
So when you're getting the CPAS test from us, you can go to provistadx.com. You can go in and type in your information down there, and one of our representatives will get in touch with you, and we'll figure out how best to get you that shot, whether it's with your healthcare provider or some other way in order to take the blood to take the test.
Oh, okay. Wow. And now, can you explain a little bit more about this debate between Dr. Fauci and the big pharmaceutical companies about the booster shot and when you need to take it? They're saying 8 months, but there is some debate about that. So what do you say, and why isn't there more clarity on when it's needed?
Well, look, I don't think the pharmaceutical companies are being unclear. They've said, 6 months, you're going to need it. And all the data that we have out of Israel and the UK suggests 6 months. I
Mm.
think 8 months is kind of a policy decision and maybe a practicality perspective in terms of actually being able to deliver on those boosters. Maybe we can't actually get them in arms all at the same time with the rollout as we had before, because there's still so many people that are completely unvaccinated that you don't want to take away the ability of those unvaccinated people to get the vaccine. So
Mm.
from our perspective, biologically, no doubt, at 6 months you're starting to see that protection go down in terms of the neutralizing antibodies, and what we're seeing in other countries is that's really the time to boost.
Is
From a
there?
policy perspective, they may
Mhm.
have reasons to go at 8 months.
Is there any study that shows when your body no longer has those antibodies? You say 6 months it starts to go down, it starts to decrease, but in a year, are you totally susceptible to getting the virus and having the same effects you would have had without the vaccine at all?
So first, in terms of the studies, yeah, there are a bunch of studies now coming out saying, starting at 6 months, it starts to go down. The question is the titers, and it's not yet clear exactly what quantity of antibodies you need that will provide that protection, especially against the Delta variant, because the Delta variant gets in the cell so much more easily. So you probably need higher concentrations of those neutralizing antibodies to protect. In terms of the ability to make a determination when that is, yeah, I mean that's exactly as if you start to see those antibodies go down, that's when it's time to boost, because you're starting to see the antibodies are produced by other parts of the immune cells called the T cells and B cells, especially the B cells. They make the antibodies, and because they make the antibodies, when those antibodies got to go down, that means the B cells are not as active. And those are the other
Mm.
parts of the immune system that you still have, even if your antibodies go down, but it takes time to rev them up. And so in the face of the Delta, I think they want more immunity out in the community than less.
All right, I'm glad you were here to break that all down for us and give us some clarity. That CPAS, I got to get me one of those tests. That sounds pretty cool. Thank you so much for that, Gerald Commissiong. Thank you, CEO
Thank
of
you.
Todos Medical. All right.